it was these little stickers, but the way the phone was set up, it was super easy to slip. And like 4 or 5 times, like people would ask me like a serious question in our internal chat. They'd be like, "Is it okay to launch this, or are you concerned about the length of this article?" And I go to respond. Instead, all I do is like hit Twerking Bull, and I'm like, "No!" And it's like the bull's like looking over his shoulder at you, and it's like, eh.
Do I have to ask if your phone is silent? Silence.
Actually, I forgot my phone at home today.
Did you really? How did you even do that?
I don't know.
How do you listen to music in the car? That would be my first, like, out on my phone because I can't hear my music. Are you riding in silence like a weirdo?
I ride in silence to the office, and I do. I ride.
Really?
Yeah. I oftentimes like to come to work and not listen to anything.
And be alone with your thoughts? How could you possibly tolerate that? That sounds scary.
You know what's interesting to me about it? That music as a thing. That music is nothing more than sound waves.
Yeah.
But sound waves put in a specific order causes us to have emotions.
Is it music or lyrics for you?
Both. Like, I mean, yeah.
It's definitely more lyrics for me, but the right music behind it, obviously.
Right, but I mean, like, you're never going to be melancholy listening to the Beastie Boys.
That's probably true.
Yeah.
Regardless of what the lyrics are.
Yeah, regardless.
But that's why I like songs that are deceptively, like, you think they're happy songs, but the lyrics are super depressing.
Papa, this is the sound of settling.
Yes.
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 Yeah.
Or You Remind Me of Home is another Ben Gibbard song. Just
Ben Gibbard is the master of sounding cheery, but being dead inside. Thanks.
That's why I love it.
Thanks, Zoe Deschanel.
Thanks, Zoe Deschanel.
I feel like we can splice this actually into the podcast.
Yeah, this is the podcast.
Yeah, this is
for
the
sure.
podcast.
This is how we're going to start opening the podcast.
Yes.
It's just like chatting.
Chatting.
Welcome. You've dropped into the chat.
You've dropped in. I'm still trying to figure out hat on or hat off for the podcast.
I think hat on because we're going with a sports vibe today.
Sports
we
vibe.
realized that we were both, in different ways, wearing sports clothes today. As you can see by my Barbie, is it tennis? I'm tennis clubbing today.
You're tennis Barbie.
Yeah, I'm tennis Barbie today.
Your job is tennis.
And which Barbie are you?
I'm Geordie Barbie.
Okay.
So there's a story behind this shirt.
Okay.
So this is going to give away when we film this.
Okay.
Because we're filming this in March 17th. I think that's today's date.
Yep.
Yeah. And then yesterday being the 16th, the team here, Newcastle United, they won the English Football Cup, which is like it's a trophy. It's not like the biggest trophy you can win in English football or soccer.
I was going to say, we're talking soccer.
We're talking soccer.
We're saying football, bud. We're talking soccer.
Yes.
Okay.
We're talking about English football.
Okay.
So, and the long story behind it is, like, the Geordies and Newcastle United, they're this very long-suffering team. Mm-hmm. They hadn't won a trophy since 1969.
Wow.
But they're a big club. They have a lot of followers, a lot of people who like barcodes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You look more like a ref.
Yeah. I actually went and saw them play West Ham, 4 or 5 years ago.
Saw them where?
In Newcastle.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I went to one of their matches. But the longer story
They're
behind...
called matches?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
I'm learning.
Yes. The longer story behind it is when I was a young man living in New York, and I had some good friends that were from England, from the north. They were from Darlington, which is not far from Newcastle.
Everything sounds so cute. From Darlington, Newcastle.
Yes. Newcastle upon Tyne.
Oh, my word.
Yes.
So adorable.
So, and the husband was from Newcastle, right? So it was funny during that time. There was a World Cup on, and I was rooting for England for the World Cup. You know, David Beckham. You know, it was like the glory years of of English football, and they were in the World Cup, and the English in the World Cup are also like perennials, like let you down. Like you think like this is their year, they're going to be awesome, and then they just break your heart.
Yeah.
And so I was watching the World Cup with my English friends, and like we were emailing each other and messaging each other, after each of the matches, like, oh, that was awesome. And then, the heartbreak when they lost.
Yeah.
And, the World Cup gets over, and I like sent my friend an email or message him, and I was just like, yeah, I says, that was like my first introduction into soccer.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, I was like, I really like soccer. And I think now I said I have to find a English team to follow, like to be a supporter. Like I need to become a fan of somebody in the English team.
Because you were seeing them over there for what reason? Just because your friends were, or
Yeah, and it was like the World Cup's huge, anyways, right?
Yeah.
And and I have a lot of affinity to the English, and I have a lot of English friends, and so it was it was like it was like I was going to root for England in the World Cup,
Yeah.
as like my team,
Right.
And I think I had a David Beckham England jersey at the time. Yep. So I was getting into it, and I was playing a lot too. Like I was playing a lot of pickup soccer, and I was just like, I was really enjoying it. And so it was right around the time that the Red Sox owner bought Liverpool.
Okay.
And so there was a lot of like more interest getting into soccer here. And I remember being like, oh, I need to support a soccer team in England and have like my team that I can, pin all my hopes and dreams on, just like they do. And I sent him a message saying, like, maybe I'm going to become a Liverpool fan. That would be,
You sent
like
who the message?
my friend,
Okay.
my Geordie
The
friend.
team. I said the team.
Yeah, and so I was like, I need to choose a team, and I was like, maybe I'll become a Liverpool fan. And like a week later, I get a Newcastle United jersey in the mail,
Wow.
and it was funny because he was just like, he gave me like all the reasons why I should become a Newcastle fan. And, and to me at the time, Newcastle really felt like the Red Sox, like this team, like up before 2003, 2004, where it was like the Red Sox broke your heart every year and you're like, this is the year they're going to win the series.
Yeah.
And then they just, they never won anything. But, they had good teams, but they just broke your heart. And so I was like, you know what? I think Newcastle's really our people. They're from the north. They're there's this team of underachievers, and so I started following Newcastle, and sure enough, they like broke my heart for like the next 20 years of following them. And it's also funny. So my friends from Newcastle, they've been over like 3 or 4 times, and they always bring me a Newcastle United jersey anytime they come. So
I need a picture of all your jerseys to insert here.
I'm gonna pull them all out and get like pictures of all of my I even have a Newcastle United jersey with my name on it. Because I was over there and I got one made with my name on it because I thought that
cool.
would be kind of cool. And I almost missed my flight because the store was taking so long. Yeah, which is another great story. But so anyways, Newcastle won the cup this weekend.
Very nice.
So I had to congratulate all my Geordie friends and also Dan in our office.
I was going to say, what is his team?
He's a Liverpool fan.
I thought he was Liverpool.
And they beat Liverpool in the cup
Okay.
final.
I thought he was Liverpool.
Yeah, so of course I had to send Dan a message.
Yeah.
Yep, because
Disappointing for Dan.
it was disappointing for Dan. But Liverpool has won a lot of trophies.
Yeah.
Like they're that team that
He can take the loss.
they're the New York Yankees really of
Yeah.
of English soccer. So
Yeah.
we can get the crumbs.
Yeah.
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 So
Yeah.
they won a trophy.
Very exciting.
And I also realize that there might be more of I said the Red Sox, but they honestly might be more like the Eagles because their fans are unhinged, like the Philadelphia Eagle fans. Newcastle fans. And they share this one weird connection is both of them have had arrests of people punching police horses, their fans. And I was like, yeah, that's a very Philly thing, I guess, too. So maybe they're more like the Eagles.
Yeah, because Boston fans are intense, but I don't think they're not like that type of intense.
I don't think anymore. I think the gentrification of Boston has changed that, where I think 2000 Boston was like that. And now it's just too many people that are Yeah, they're just
Boston people are Boston people.
Boston people are Boston people, but I think they've lost a little bit. I think Boston's lost the edge.
Yeah.
I think Philly's keeping it real. Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why they're winning Super Bowls now.
I guess.
Yeah.
I guess.
So yeah, thank you for coming to our sports podcast, everyone.
It's sport. I don't know how to incorporate Barbie into this, but it's not unlike me to be bringing Barbie into the conversation.
That is true. I mean, right off camera, I can look and see the Ken pillow too.
Yeah.
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 Which I probably should have just been holding to complete the ensemble today.
Well,
but
you know.
yeah. But I think it's good. Here's my segue.
Segue.
Ready for the segue?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's good to have an interest in sports things in other areas.
Okay.
Because it connects you to communities that you're not connected to.
Yeah.
And the wider world and travel. And that said, again, dating when this is being filmed.
Yeah, that's okay.
This is my last Monday in the office until May something.
It's stressful.
Yeah, because I am going to be spending a month in the south of France.
He's going abroad.
So there's an interesting thing, the Grand Tour. So most of what comes to people's mind when they talk about the Grand Tour is like Jeremy Clarkson and driving cars and a bunch of like old English guys acting silly in automobiles, right?
Yeah.
So it's interesting that phrase, the Grand Tour, actually came from like the 1600s, 1700s. And it was principally about people, usually upper class people who had the money to do this, and especially like British people, and that they would go and they would spend a month or two on the continent. It was a lot of times Italy, but then they would travel through the continent, and it was supposed to be this idea that it would expand your horizons.
Your camera is recording, right?
Yeah, it's recording.
Keep going.
That it would expand your horizons. The Grand Tour was all about like these wealthy aristocrats traveling abroad and, you know, collecting things and collecting experiences. And it was like the original gap year, you know, for them to make these lavish trips. And you think about, and then that progressed to the American Grand Tour. And you think about like very famous writers and artists, and about like, for instance, F. Scott Fitzgerald and Hemingway and all of them.
Are you about to compare yourself to all of this?
Well, no, but yeah. I'm going to be hunched over my typewriter in the south of France.
He's packing his typewriter.
Yes, my manual typewriter. My wife is going to be like, what is in that luggage?
It's in the carry-on, actually.
It's in the carry-on.
Instead of a tablet in his lap, he's got a typewriter on the plane. He's not even sitting with his wife.
I'm not even sitting with my wife. I'm going to be like hunched over the sea talking. Yeah. But no, like that idea of like, then it became like this American thing similarly, because American culture, go to Europe and not just be like, hey, we're here for a week, but like spending a longer period of time to kind of absorb European culture.
Yeah.
So I think coming full circle now to our day, right? Mm-hmm. And I think you see that with a lot of digital nomads. Like it really is their grand tour, and they're going to places, they're able to work remote, and they're able to experience things that in a traditional work environment you would not be able to get out and do. And I think that's really beautiful. Like we think about Sea Point here, you know, as far as American-based employees, we have an employee who is in Colombia. We've got an employee in Chile. We've got an employee in Argentina. We've got Rachel, who, even though she's an Irish national, she's in Italy a lot. You know, I think that idea of being able to, this type of industry has given us the flexibility to be able to experience some of those things.
Yeah.
This for me is the first time, and it's going to be an interesting experience because it's a little bit different just being an employee, but being the agency owner.
Yeah.
One of the things I know, because I did a little bit of work in Italy a couple of years ago, the cadence of work is really interesting.
What do you mean by that?
Well, like in Italy, for instance, you would wake up in the morning and everyone in the States would be asleep until noon. So I would wake up, and because I would have gone to bed much earlier, my email inbox was just blown up every morning. I'd have like 30 emails to go through. And, and people messaging me about stuff at the end of the day, like, hey, how are we doing on this project? Are we on track? Like project managers pinging me about things. And it was a lot, but nobody bothered me. And for me, that's, I shouldn't say bother, but no one needed resources from me.
Right.
And so I thought that was really a unique experience because I got up in the morning, I answered all my emails, and then I had a solid like 3 hours just to work, and it was quiet.
Yeah.
And got a bunch of, and I was really able to kind of like meditate on client projects, to think about strategy, and I found it kind of refreshing. And then really around noon is when everybody else was coming online from our East Coast employees and teams and things. And then, until, that would just go until the evening. And I was just checking out around 6, 7. But, I enjoy that type of work. I think my wife also is working remotely, and has to be much more tied to the East Coast time. So she's going to be doing like a 2 to 8 or 2 to 9. So I might find myself doing that more. So it's going to be interesting, like working afternoon, evenings, but to have mornings off to, explore, or mornings off more.
Lots of going out to breakfast.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's really a French thing.
Yeah.
Like, so where we are, especially, so we're going to be in the south of France near a city called Perpignan, and I probably mispronounced that for any...
Perpignan?
Perpignan.
That's how we're saying it.
Yeah. I have a French sister-in-law, and every time I say it, she's like, what? Like, what? I don't understand the words coming out of your mouth.
American man.
Yes, and then I'm like, we're going to Perpignan, and then she like has to like correct me, and she's like, no. Perpignan, like it's like this neon.
It's actually
like,
the same thing.
Yeah, and in my ear, I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what I said, and she's like, no. Yes. So maybe by the time we're done, I'll be able to pronounce it.
Yeah.
But the other great thing about this is Christy.
Christy.
You're going to be there.
I'm coming to France.
Yes. So we're going to actually film.
We're going to meet up and film.
We're going to meet up and film an episode of the podcast, either in the south of France, or we might, depending on our timing, in Paris, because we're all going to be traveling to Paris together as a team at the end of the trip. I think Paris is going to be pretty booked as far as timing, and you're going to want to do things.
Maybe in Perpignan, and then we can keep saying it wrong.
We can sit on the beach.
Be those Americans that make everyone mad.
We'll be like, we're filming here from Perpignan, and then like people will walk by and they'll be
I can't picture the logistics of how we're gonna film.
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out.
I think we're gonna use like Osmos and phones maybe, and then like little portable speakers. It may not be the best audio quality.
We apologize now.
Yes, but since we're gonna film one then, and we're sitting here talking about it right now. What are your biggest trepidations about going to Europe?
Oh, man. Like, my personal... What is this word you use? Trepidations?
Trepidation?
Trepidations?
Trepidation?
Fears? Can I use that word
Yes.
instead?
What are you worried about?
Man, where do I begin? Well, there's a lot of plane crashes in the news. You seen those? Fires. Every time they land, there's a fire.
Yeah.
No, I don't think that that's actually a big fear of mine. I'm fine to die in a plane crash. I think actually it's more of like... language barrier is always an issue, but like I feel like I'll figure it out. But sometimes I just worry, like anytime I have a communication like issue with anybody, even just speaking in English, it's like that is so frustrating to me. So literally not being able to communicate is a fear of mine.
And I think that's going to be interesting where we're traveling. So my personal experience is, if you're in a major metropolitan area, like I've been to Rome and Madrid and Paris, English is pretty prevalent. You go to restaurants and like I was in Florence 2 years ago, and I felt like I was at Epcot.
Okay.
Of like it was so more Americans there than there was Italians.
Kind of like Canada. Like
like kind of similar,
Canada.
right? Like
Yeah,
you go to
like,
Quebec and everyone speaks English,
right?
And they're like, you're dumb because you can only
like
speak
sometimes
English.
they have to grab someone else who speaks English a little bit stronger than them,
But what I have experienced is when you get out of those major metropolitan areas where there's a lot of tourism and a lot of English being spoken, that's where it gets dicier. And we've had some funny experiences. We had an issue with a rental car once when we were driving out of Paris and we were on the border of Germany, and something happened with the car. And we had to pull into a gas station that was a Hertz rental / gas station. And the lovely ladies, but they spoke no English. And trying to swap out a rental car with people who don't speak English was just like a comical experience. And it was funny because like they were calling up like the Hertz headquarters in our behalf to explain the situation. And they were like yelling at them in French. And I was like, yeah, I don't know what you're saying, but yeah, keep going.
Get 'em.
Yeah, thank you
Get 'em.
thank you for advocating for us. A side point, which was hilarious to me, like so typical French. We got done with the issue with the car. They got it sorted out with Hertz, their regional, and said, we can give you a different car. We'll swap the cars out and get you on your way. And they're like, we're going to finish the paperwork for you. They're like, but first we must go have a smoke.
Oh my word.
And they went outside and like took a 10-minute smoke break. And I was like,
this stress has capped us off.
Yep.
Please hold.
Yes. But
Need
I
a
was just like kind of
cigarette.
laughing because I was like, that feels very French.
This does feel
Yes.
very
I'm having a very
full French experience.
Yeah, I'm a very authentic experience. So I am worried about where we're going
Yeah.
in the South,
Yeah.
that it may not be as English as other areas.
Yeah.
So a couple things that we're doing is I got translation glasses.
Yes.
Yes. And we're actually got 2 different types of translation glasses.
Oh, I didn't know you had 2.
Well, one of them has not been shipped yet. I've got the Even Realities G1. If I'm not name dropping. This is not a product placement.
Yeah.
I picked those up a few weeks ago because they're already out and on the market. But there's another company called Halliday.
Okay.
That on the CES show, it was like one of the big things I've highlighted from there, where it's also glasses that beam it directly into your eye and does an automatic translation.
That
so
sounds
it like
scary.
It does. I think it's probably gonna be one of those things that overpromises, and and I'm gonna be like, oh, I'll be able to listen into French conversations.
And you're blind in a year?
Or blind in a year, but also I feel like maybe like the latency of it's going to be so slow that someone's going to be like talking to you in French, and
You're
it's
just
just going to be
staring
like
at them?
it's going to be like buffering, and it's going to be like, and I'm just going to be like looking up at the corner of my eye. Yeah, so it may not be as
You need to have a sticker on your head that says, please hold, I'm translating.
yes. I feel like I should just have a T-shirt that says "Je suis American." Stupid. Donc.
I feel like that's
Stupid.
just kind of like they know that already.
Yes.
Yeah.
Here's also a pro tip. If you're ever in France, how you can get away with faking in a conversation with a bunch of people, just go up and be like, "Ça va?" And the answer to that question is "Ça va." And
Okay.
then they'll go "Ça va." And you can just be like,
but
"Ça va."
no, because then they think that I speak French and I don't.
Well, they'll figure that out pretty quick. Yes.
That's the point.
I
Give
like
me
that.
street cred.
I
and
like
then
that-
lose it immediately.
Yeah. I like the fact that we're spending less time actually trying to learn French.
Yeah.
To find loopholes.
Also very American.
Very American.
On par for us.
On par for us. Use technology to make up for the fact that we're lazy.
I think I did 2 years of French in high school. And the whole time I was like, I will never use this. I don't need to store this in my brain. And now here we are.
Here we are.
20 years later, just like.
And we get the double whammy because we're also going through Barcelona, both
Yeah.
of us at different times.
Yeah.
And so you also have Spanish to, yeah.
Also, just that there was never any storage space left in this brain.
Yeah.
So, bleh.
I feel like Barcelona, though, again, major metropolitan hub, English is like, there are so many tourists in Barcelona to the point where there's like protests against tourism in Barcelona. Yeah.
That's adding a fear.
Yeah. Well,
So follow-up fear is traveling in general, is navigating transportation.
Yeah.
Just in general, that can be stressful.
yep.
Like,
And we'll have been there for a month. So hopefully,
you know how to navigate.
yeah, hopefully we'll have a little bit of understanding of the area and how things work and not to make horrible social faux pas.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's
I
another
will let
thing
you lead the way and make
Yeah.
those mistakes first.
Yes.
So,
But yeah, it's going to be a very interesting experience, and I do think it's interesting because it does. I think stepping away from your normal routine of work
Mm-hmm.
has a lot of benefits. Again, not just like the digital nomad and the grand tour of going to a place and learning from it and experiencing different things. I think there's a lot of value in that, even from a work perspective, in that you get so used to, like, especially like a lot of our clients are retainer, a lot of our clients it's the same work, we're just repeating over and over, month after month. And I don't mean that in a bad way, it's just, but that's just the nature of it. That
Mm-hmm.
I think like stepping out of our own personal experiences while we're doing that work lends the ability to look at it in fresher eyes.
Yeah. And anytime you come back from a vacation, you always come back like with a new brain and
That is true.
yeah.
I'm a terror when I come back from vacation. Like, I come back from a vacation and I'm like, we're blowing everything up. Brand new website. We're changing how we're doing this.
I think you just get creative when you come back
I agree.
from trips
Yeah.
or vacations or breaks. Like you just have like it resets you personally.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how this longer period of time, I'm working remotely for a full month.
Yeah, so that was my next question is like what are your fears if any of what that's going to be like challenges of working away from the team because you're usually here at least 3 to 4 days a week in person with the team.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest fear is just because accessibility to me
Right.
as the agency owner,
Yeah.
as far as I'm very hands-on.
Yeah.
And I know like it depends. Different agencies have some agencies, the ownership's much more,
Mm-hmm.
hands off, but I'm much more like walk through the office, checking in on people, looking over people's shoulders, helping with like little problems, right? Like people will
Yeah.
be like, oh, I don't understand why this isn't like
Yeah.
this website's not resolving correctly, or what does this mean? And trying to understand those things. I worry that people are not going to be like, oh, I'm not going to bother Bill with this, and it's going to hold up other people's work.
I feel like at this point you're so like with the company so much big picture that you don't need to micromanage things.
Yeah.
But that is also maybe part of what could create a problem is that you might like do you feel like you might get so far away from everybody because no one needs to come to you because you're so big picture now that there's no need to check in with Bill, so you're going to have to really be extra tuned in.
Yeah, and I think there's pros and cons of that, right? Like,
Yeah.
I think maybe I have a tendency to micromanage projects at times,
I don't think you do. I don't think you need to.
but I don't think I need to at this point because of what we've built. But I think sometimes I have trouble like can't letting go of the technical and letting like people concentrate on their technicals. And this will give me the ability to maybe like get a better like reset as far as like being there for the team, but not having to be on the day-to-day stuff. I mean, there's some projects that I think I am going to be much more tuned in on, just
Yeah.
our larger projects, and making sure our clients get the service
Yeah.
that they require. But I think it also gives me the opportunity to, let all of the team members and really shine in their respective roles, which I think even in the last year, we've just seen tremendous growth from the team members and their personal development. And that, we're trending in that direction anyway. So
Yeah.
maybe this is good for me to personally like see like, look, the office is doing great. Everyone's doing their jobs. You don't have to be that involved in all the projects.
I think you won't be able to see like you normally do literally with your eyeballs like like Annalyn and Christy are working on this thing together, like they've got it under control.
Right.
Like you're not just like passing through like they're working on that video,
Right.
unless we literally are telling you like we're working on this video right now.
Or just knowing like the
It's
video's getting done.
it's getting taken care of or whatever. So I think communication in general is just going to have to be a little bit stronger. And on that note, bringing back to something that we used to joke about and laugh about, I think that in like messaging, we're gonna have to bring back like unicorn emojis and like being stronger with the emojis so that we know like all is good.
Yes.
Because we've joked about it in the past, especially with like men and women. Bill's just like an okay period type of text her,
Yes.
and we're all like, okay, is he mad? Is this cool? We're like, can you please send some unicorn emojis so we know that everything is rainbows and okay?
You're really actually happy about this and you're just not responding out of spite.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can I bring back that I'm empowering women by being away?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
But
It was worth trying to slide that in, seeing if I had some leeway.
that's
leeway in there.
another old joke.
Yeah, it's an old joke.
Listen,
Yeah.
I've been here 8 years now. You think about that?
You and Courtney know where all the bodies are buried.
In these walls
In
that
these
we
wa- in
happen
these
to
walls.
drywall. Why did we drywall them?
That's where the bodies are.
Which emojis are we going with?
I don't know. I'll have to work on that. Maybe we should ask our listeners.
Yeah, which emoji should we go with to let us know that Bill's not mad at us?
Here, let me pause for a moment to create a clip that you can use across social. But hey, viewers on Instagram and TikTok, what emojis or expressions would you use to reply to your team members to show them that you're fully supportive and that you appreciate their work and you're excited about what they're doing? Is it just the thumbs up?
No.
No? So, yeah, please leave a comment and tell us what you would do.
I'm personally fond of the Santa emoji because I feel like it's so like, what are we using that emoji for? Literally nothing.
Do you remember the Twerking Bull?
No.
Okay, so when the Google...
Is it gone?
I don't know if it's gone. It might be somewhere in the Android phones still. But when I first got like a Google Nexus or the Pixel phone, like at the very early days, like in that between the Nexus and the Pixels, like Google loaded these like little stickers.
I don't have it.
It was these little stickers, but the way the phone was set up, it was super easy to slip and hit the stickers. And like 4 or 5 times, like people would ask me like a serious question in our internal chat. They'd be like, "Is it okay to launch this, or are you concerned about the length of this article?" And I go to respond. Instead, all I do is like hit Twerking Bull, and I'm like, "No!" And it's like the bull's like looking over his shoulder at you, and it's like, and I'm just like,
Oh,
I'm creating
okay.
HR
So it was
problems.
like it wasn't an emoji. It was like a GIF.
sticker.
It was a sticker. It was like a GIF.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe Twerking
And who
Bull.
at Google was like, "Oh man, this is going to be your go-to.
That was
This is
definitely on
gonna
purpose.
Be yes."
That was for sure on purpose. Oh, we need to bring that back. I really hope that still exists somewhere in here because we're bringing that back. Okay, so Twerking Bull's an option. Okay?
And then you know what's really funny about that is, like, I felt bad because I accidentally did it like 3 times to the team, like texting somebody on the team, and I had somebody else on a very serious text message on a personal matter at the time send me like this very serious text message about something, and then the next thing they sent me was the Twerking Bull.
They sent it to you?
They sent it to me, and I realized I wasn't the only one having challenges with the keyboard on
they
their
didn't
Pixel.
do it on purpose.
No. It was
Oh, okay.
so I don't think you could imagine
okay.
with a Twerking Bull as
Oh,
being in
my
his
word.
repertoire.
Oh my word.
Yes.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, that's one of those Google things I have no idea. Like yeah, somebody was microdosing at Google. Like, this would be a good idea, right? Let's stickers and make it just so small of a keyboard, and this button will be right next to like the letter
Google?
A.
Google, bring it back. We
Yeah.
need it back.
Yeah.
Let's ruin relationships with the bull. Let's make work very awkward for everybody.
Very awkward.
Inappropriate,
Yeah.
really. We're pro for that.
Yeah, we are pros for
It's
that.
just it creates good memories.
Yeah. So maybe that will be the emoji. I'll be in France. I mean, it probably is better for Spain, honestly.
Yeah,
More
yeah.
on point with Barcelona.
Yeah.
But south of France,
Yeah.
you might get that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
We just have to let the rest of the team know
yes,
that this is the code.
this is the code.
Let's not forget.
I can just see Tim doing the Tim eyebrow when it comes through. Like,
You know what? Let's not tell them. Let's find out if they watch our podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Team, are you watching or not? You didn't watch? This feels like your fault.
yes. See if my wife listens to my podcast.
Yeah. Like, listen, this is on them.
Maybe I'll make her listen to this episode while we're in car rides in France.
You do like to do that.
I do.
Good.
Yes. Have we talked about that in the podcast?
Yes. We have.
Yeah, my wife's like, we don't never talk. I'm like, shh, 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 shh. You can just listen to my
You can
voice.
listen to my voice with
Yes.
Christy.
Yeah, with Christy.
When was the last time you talked to Christy?
Yes. You haven't seen her in weeks because we're in France.
You'll see her next week, but listen to her now.
Yes. So, yeah, something to look forward to, everybody. Our French podcast.
Watch it be really lame, and we've been talking it up this whole time.
Yes.
Or watch it just not happen because
we all got in plane crashes.
Or I just get abducted in Barcelona and I never make it to France.
Yeah, and Liam Neeson's on the phone with the air abductor. Like, I have a particular set of skills.
That will be Tim. Do you think Tim would come and rescue me from a taken situation? Probably not.
Probably not.
He doesn't have the motivation.
He would just not.
Anna Lynn would.
Anna Lynn. Anna Lynn would hunt down. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dan.
Oh, Dan definitely would.
Yeah.
Sorry, Tim. I know you, and like I know that like
Tim's like, but I got fishing plans.
He's got plans. Like he's tired.
Yeah.
I get it. Bum ankle.
Yeah, exactly. My gout's bothering me. It's gonna prevent me.
Tim is a good man, everybody.
Yes.
I'm just kidding.
Let's see if Tim watches the podcast.
Yeah.
All right, and on that note, so we're signing off. We'll see you, or you'll see me, with a French accent next.
In France.
In a beret.
Au revoir. Is that what we say?
Yeah, and smoking a cigarette.
Au revoir?
Au revoir.
Au revoir.
Au revoir.
Au revoir.
Bonsoir.
Bonsoir.
Yes.
It's the end.
No, it's not. There's more.
There's always more.
Don't be sad. You can catch our full video interviews on our YouTube channel. Come find us.
And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share with your friends so that we're not sad.
And follow us on TikTok.
And Instagram.
It'll make your day happier, promise.
And we'll know if you do. Until next time.